Do you go to prep or do you not go to prep? What is the answer? With the popularity of prep ball at an all-time high, many hoopers are opting for the prep path to take their games to the next level. But what if you don't play prep? Is that the end of your basketball career after high school? I had the chance to interview two high-level basketball players. One that has gone to prep and is now currently playing Division One NCAA Division One basketball, while the other didn't go to prep but is playing pro ball overseas. When it comes to advancing your basketball career, which path do you choose to make it to the next level? If you're going to do the prep route, what do you look for when you're choosing a prep program? What are the expectations and obligations for yourself and the program? These are some of the questions that I asked these ballers on the show, exploring their respective paths to the next level. Before we move on to the actual show, I'm actually going to summarize the show at the beginning to answer the above questions, because only the serious hoopers will want to listen to these two basketball players who have made it to the next level with and without prep. Now, prep, no prep? The answer is, as always, as everything in this world, almost everything anyway, it depends. Every player's path is different. Where one path worked for one, the other, that same path may not work for the other. Prep is a solid vehicle for exposure to eyes that otherwise may not be there to see your game. Comparatively, high school and club basketball can still provide ballers with opportunities to play college, university, should prep not be on your radar. Here's an interesting fact. Scouts find talent in all places. Think Razel Guinto. So, when it comes to the youth leaving home for prep, it does come with a ton of risks. And these risks can be mitigated by opting for local prep programs. But again, those risks can be solid teachers. And as we all know, experience can be the greatest teacher that you'll ever know. When it comes to preps, you need to do your due diligence and learn everything about the prep that you are thinking of committing to. From the coaching experience to compatibility with the coach, to game travel schedule, even the quality of the game, and academics. Just because the program holds the prep title doesn't necessarily mean it will lead to scholarships. So, be wary of the coach that promises you a scholarship to a university or a college just for your commitment to their program. Finally, whether or not you choose prep, there are no guarantees for the future. Be sure you love the game and all the ugly that comes with loving something. When you find basketball to be work, that is the moment love has left. And, maybe next level basketball may not be a part of your future. So, I encourage you to stick around and get a pen and some paper. Take notes as these two ballers are going to share their thoughts, feelings, and experiences on their path to next level basketball. A little bit about yourself, your path to how you got to where you are.
Okay, well, so I was one who didn't choose the prep route or didn't have the opportunity to do so. So grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I played a lot of club basketball at a young age for like Maples Community Center. I did a lot of that as a young age. I played for Mayhem. We were the first ones to play for Mayhem when I was in grade 7, I believe. It's another club team in Winnipeg. And then from there, it was just like high school ball. And when I was in like grade 7, I was practicing at Garden City Collegiate with Phil Penner and the team that they had there. My brother used to play for the team, so that was kind of a way for me to just work and play against older players, and I was doing that for years. And then when I got to Garden City, I played varsity when I was in grade 9. So from grade 9 to grade 12, I played varsity. So again, I was playing against older players. But before I got to high school, prep around the time that I came up wasn't necessarily something on my mind. And I don't think it was something as relevant as it is now. Like I know now there's a lot more opportunities for guys to do so. So if I had had that opportunity, maybe I would have looked into it more seriously. But for me, knowing that I was practicing at Garden City already from in grade 7, like for me, I was like, this is where I'm going to go. I like the coach. It's a winning program. And I'm just going to see what I can do here. And from there, I ended up going to University of Calgary. I did 6 years there. Due to an injury, I had an injury my second year, and I had a red shirt, so I did 6 instead of 5. And you know, I played well. I was the third all-time leading scorer in the history of the school. A lot of records, second in steals, minutes, first in minutes played, like third in rebounds total. And I got the chance to play pro. And I can definitely say, leaving high school, my goal was always to play D1. So leaving high school, that was what my ambition was. You know, I wanted to play Division I. So I think if we fast forward 20 years now, or 15 years, you know, younger players might be saying they want to go prep and then go D1. But for me, it was like, I just want to get into high school, but I want to get to D1. And that's how I kind of made it. But I did it through the CIS and high school in Winnipeg and just worked like crazy. You know, it was just the work ethic that helped me get to where I am today.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yes, grew up in Winnipeg as well. Played Mayhem, started with Mayhem, and then played for Wolves for a year, about a year and a half, and then was involved with the provincial team at a young age. And then through the provincial team, I got seen through Canada Elite. Canada Elite saw me play at Nationals. They asked me to come play the next summer, 16U. So I played 16U. During that time, I also went to Kelvin High School for grade 9 and grade 10. And then after grade 10, that's when I went out to play for Canada Elite. And after that summer, prep wasn't really on my radar at all. I didn't even know what prep was until my AAU coach told me after our season was done in the summertime that, yeah, this school wants you to come down and play for them. And at that time, I had no idea what prep was at all. I thought it was just a regular high school. Until I did more research, asked my coach a lot of questions, talked to the coach there, and they broke it down to me. And at first, it wasn't really much of a big deal to me because it was just like, okay, just going away for school. I didn't, like I said, I didn't know what prep was. So when I got to prep, then it was like a slap in the face, really, of what I didn't know what to expect. A lot of things that go unheard with prep basketball that people don't see behind closed doors and stuff like that. So, but it was a good experience. I feel like it helped me get to where I am today for sure. And then through prep, I actually went to 3 different prep schools. That's crazy, that sounds. And then through prep, then I got my Division I offer to go to Valpo. And then obviously now I'm going to New Orleans.
Awesome. I'm going to revisit what you're saying there about getting slapped in the face. I do want more details, and I think that's something that a lot of the kids and the parents need to know when they are selecting their prep, if they're at that opportunity. And I really like what what you're saying, Jared, about how you made it to your level of basketball, because you're totally right that is sort of the hot thing right now, going to prep. Whether it was offered to you or not offered to you, you still made it without it. And I think that the options and the message that needs to be clear for everybody is that if you're good enough, you'll make it, right? How did you get recruited for university ball?
So the earliest recruitment that I can remember was when I was in grade 10. University of Winnipeg already had some interest in me back when Dave Quirk was around. It was a university that I was always watching. You know, Irfan Nisajpour was huge back in the day, and he was somebody that I looked at a lot. Brandon University was interested in me, I believe, in grade 11. But what happened was at the Westman Classic tournament. Our team made it to the finals, and I had a really good showing that weekend. I beat Todd McCullough's record for, I think it was 102 or 3 points in 3 games. I was finals MVP, and our team won. And in the final game, I had 43 points, and Calgary was playing. So the University of Calgary was going to be playing after us because they also played that tournament. So they just happened to be watching our game. And as I was walking off the court, Dan Van Horn, my coach at UFC, he just said to me, he's like, you know what, like, I like your game and I'm going to get in touch with you. And at that time, that hasn't really happened to me, you know, my whole high school career. So in the moment, I was kind of like, okay, cool. Like, let's see what happens, you know? And the following Monday when I went to school, I got called to the office and he was on the phone. There was a pamphlet for me there. I spoke to him. And from there, he was already just constantly calling me, constantly texting me, trying to get more information about me because he was really interested in me. He came and he flew out to watch me play twice. So he came into my house and he broke everything down to my parents and explained to them how badly he wanted me to come and what it's going to look like for me if I go to the University of Calgary. And I had other interests from University of Fraser Valley, and University of Ottawa as well. But he was the only one I felt like truly pursued me. You know what I mean? Like, he made the effort to fly out. He was calling me constantly. So that gave me a lot of confidence to go there. And on second note, I always wanted to leave home. I just felt like, you know, I've been in Winnipeg pretty much my whole life. I want to play basketball elsewhere, you know, hopefully potentially at bigger universities, D1 if possible. And at the time they had Ross Beckering, Robbie Sahota, Tyler Fridler, and Ross Beckering and Robbie Sahota eventually were going to be professionals. They were in their 5th year. And for me, that was very attractive. You know, that was the place I wanted to go because I wanted to become a pro myself. So that was probably one of the main reasons I ended up going to Calgary. You know, it's a really good school academically as well. Basketball program is great. And they had players who had professional aspirations like myself. And that was my main reason choosing there. And you will fast forward 6-7 years, I'm playing for the same club here in the Netherlands that my teammate Ross Beckering played for that I went to with in Calgary.
But realistically, my mom actually said no initially. She didn't want me to go by myself to St. Louis. Because I don't think you guys know at the time, St. Louis, I think, was the murder capital of America at the time. So the danger of that, yeah. So my mom didn't want me to go. I didn't end up going till literally a week before school started. My mom finally said yes, and then I packed up all myself and left. But yeah, the route went was through Canada Lee, my coach Skinner at the time. He found me in St. Louis.
So that's a little bit scary for a 15-year-old, 16-year-old to leave home for prep, regardless of whatever St. Louis's title was at that time. Mm-hmm. Just to leave home. So how did you find being on your own with just basketball as your comfort zone or your comfort tool?
Initially I loved it. We was practicing every day, twice a day. It was just work out, go to school, work out again, practice like every day. I loved it. And then it wasn't until like 3-4 weeks then reality really started to kick in. Like, okay, I kind of miss my family now. You know, I miss my friends, I miss my boys at school. You know, and then those hard nights started coming, hard practice started coming in. It really started taking a toll on me at a young age. It ended up being very hard, you know, because you really need to really sit back and be like, this is really what I want to do. Like, I see the type of sacrifices I need to do in order to keep making this happen. And, you know, it brings out a different level of toughness in you. I didn't know I even had at the time. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you're really out there by yourself, grinding by yourself. Like, when you leave, you're leaving with you and your bags. That's it. And you're going to a random family you're staying at, random teammates. Like, you have no idea who these people are, never met them before. You know, like, it's really a big risk that you're taking. But not all prep schools are like that. That's just the situation I was in at the time. You know, so it was very, very tough. But like I said, like, out of different toughness in me that I didn't know I had. That helped me to excel to this day.
Awesome. And I think that both of you have that. And I'd say even majority of the elite level basketball players do have that innate sort of that drive that they didn't think they would have. I mean, Jared, you left at a very young age too. I'd say that you're still developing as a person at 17, 18, 19, obviously. So you had to essentially fend for yourself as well. A good support system both of you guys had, but
Yeah.
still there were things that, for example, my situation, I still had my mom, I still had my friends here,
Yeah.
when I went local. So if,
Yeah.
if I did have a bad practice and I wanted to just step away from basketball and just chill with, chill with my mom, chill with my brother, chill with my friends,
Yeah.
I had that option. You guys didn't.
Yeah.
That's sort of the scary thing that could be a scary thing for any of these kids that are considering leaving, is that you got nobody else. With you, Jared, what was I'm going to ask you both. I'll go with you, Daniel. What was the hardest thing you experienced out there? Like a specific thing that I need my friends, I need my parents, I need my family. Was there something like that happened?
Oh yeah, I vividly remember. It was after a morning practice. Yep, I had a very bad practice, and coach was hard on all of us, ran us out the gym, and I remember I left the gym, went upstairs. I called my mom crying. I'm like, Mom, like I don't know if I can do this anymore. And my mom told me, she said, like when you left for a reason. You had to go. And before I leave, me and my mom sat down. He said, like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this all the way. There's no turning back after this. And on the phone call, she reminded me of that. And I'm very faith based in my family as well. My mom reminded me, like even though you're there by yourself, you're not alone. God is always with you. And when she reminded me of that, I went back, prayed, and just lived by faith from that moment on. And there was obviously harder days after that, but no day was harder than that specific morning after that practice. I remember that. And after that phone call with my mom, that really brought out that toughness. That's like, like this is hard, but there's nothing that you're going through that you can't overcome. God's not going to give you any challenge that he knows you can't bear in the long run, and that brought out a beast in me that I didn't even know I had at the time. And then for the rest of the season on, that the toughness I had was unmatchable. Like anything on the court that happened to me, like I was unfazed by it because I've already experienced that. So. Yeah. I think the biggest misconception, especially here in Winnipeg, is that once you get to a prep school, then you're guaranteed offers. Like you're guaranteed college looks, specifically NCAA looks, whether it's Div 2, Div 1. I think that's the biggest misconception because a lot of coaches, I've heard many, many different stories of a lot of coaches saying, oh yeah, like all you gotta do is it's coming. And we have coaches coming in throughout the gym, coaches sending letters, stuff like that. Ooh, okay, that's great. But at the end of the day, if it's not a coach saying like, look, I want you at my school, it doesn't mean anything. You can have as much interest as you want until a coach says, listen, you have a scholarship here at so-and-so university. Until that is official, there's nothing guaranteed for you. And another big exception, that's the biggest misconception for me. Another one is that, how would I say it? Another one is that, that once you also get to prep, that like, this is, like I can sort of take a deep breath. Like, no, you can't. In no time can you be like, sit back and relax. If anything, prep sometimes is in a way kind of harder, that because you're not the only person they're recruiting to come to their school. You still have to compete with the people in your team for positions on the team. You know what I mean? Which is, I think, hard, or more so harder to do so in prep than high school. Because high school you still have those kids who just play for fun, who just want to be on the team. So you have a solid 7, 8 guys. Like when you go to prep, you might have a solid 10 to 12 guys who are all number ones on their high school team before they came here. You know, so that's more grind in practice. There's more hours outside of practice to put in order to get that spot on the team. Once you get on a spot on the team, they have to perform, you know. So there's a lot of other misconceptions, man. But I think those, for me, those are the biggest two.
If I can add to that, the craziest thing, I know we're talking about prep, but that is like, how do you want to say? That's basically what the professional life is. Like the first thing that you said was like, coaches are going to come until the coach says like, I want you at my school. Once you become a professional, this team is interested in you. That team is interested in you. You know how many times I've heard that? And if there's nothing on contract and nothing on paper, it means absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
It means absolutely nothing. Like in the beginning, you're young. When I was younger, you know, my first 2 years, I'm like agents saying like these 3 teams are interested. I'm like, oh, like immediately you're like, oh, okay, like, you know what I mean? You're excited, you're hyped.
Yeah.
And then it's like 2 weeks later, like, what happened to that team? Oh, they signed somebody else already.
Just like that.
They got a pool of thousands of players. And when you get pro, it's like you do your college career wherever you go, NCAA or CIS, right? You do well, you're all-star, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You finish. Now you're pro. That's a huge moment for anybody who has that dream. You reset. And because now you got to prove yourself again. You know what I mean? It's like you really have to. Like if you come in your first year, you don't put up good numbers, and your second year you don't, it's like they'll label you as whatever it is. You know what I mean? So it's funny, as you were saying that, I was just paralleling everything you just said to the pro experience. And that's kind of cool because prep is already training you for that. And I could have not told you that, but if you get the chance to be a pro, you'll be like, yo, I've already been through this on a similar level through prep. You know what I mean? It's like literally almost the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. You know, you said there's number 1 guys from this school or that school who could potentially go. For professionals, you got literally the whole world. You got guys all across Europe. You got guys all across the States. You got guys in Africa now. You got guys in South America who could literally come and take that spot. Yeah, literally, like, you know. So it's interesting that the parallels between the two.
For sure, yeah, and I think too that, and this whole thing serves to be has a purpose, obviously, and what parents and what kids need to expect when it comes to committing to next level, regardless if it's prep or it's pro, university, whatever it is, that you can get on, but it's another thing to stay on. So yeah, you got to always prove yourself. And if you're not up for the task of always working, then it may not work out for you.
And I think this is another thing we can touch on. And I didn't have the prep experience, but as you're saying that, it's like, as a parent, right? And I know Daniel pretty well. You know, we've worked out in the past and things like that. But I guarantee you, Daniel went to prep because Daniel said, I want to become a professional basketball player someday. And this is the avenue for me. He's already made that decision in his mind. So as a parent, if you have a child, you have to know what temperature your child is. Is he able to leave home? Can he really handle that? You know what I mean? Is this his dream or is this my dream? Do I want it more than he does? Those are important things, because you don't want to send your kid out there if you feel like he truly doesn't have what it takes to live away from home and he needs to be around family, or you can see it in your child that, you know what, he wakes up every single morning and he goes to the gym and I don't even have to tell him to go. And then he comes back home, he does his homework, and at night he gets another workout in. He does that on his own. He really wants this and he has a talent. You know what? Okay. You know, if the situation is right, let's push him. But if you don't see those signs at an early age, sending to prep might not be the best idea. You know what I mean? So you got to have the right kid. You got to have the right attitude. You know what I mean? And hopefully financially it works for you too. But those are important things. And I know for sure Daniel had that in his mind of, I'm going here because my end goal is here. And these are the steps I need to take. Just like me, I want to leave home because I believe if I can go to UFC or a different school, this is going to help me become a professional. So in my mind, I was already thinking that. You can't go into that experience. Let's just see what it's like. You know what I mean? Because it's cutthroat.
Or
So that's another thing to consider.
Another
You
one,
know?
you can't go into that, oh, just because my friend's going prep, I should go prep too. No. Just because your boy going prep doesn't mean you have to go prep.
Right.
You're another thing, like I really think kids understand is like you need to do what's best for your situation. Your situation is not someone else's situation.
Mhm.
Like, especially when I was growing up, everyone would love to give Jared to me as an example. Everyone would say, "Oh, you should just stay home." Like, like Jared made it and he didn't go prep in division. I'm like, okay, but like at early as I went, like, okay, but like I'm not Jared. I'm me. That worked for him. That may necessarily might not work for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And to be honest, if I rewinded and I was Daniel's age and I was playing the way I was playing in grade 9, grade 10, and I had the opportunity to play for Canada Elite and I had the opportunity to go prep and it made sense, who's to say I would have stayed? You know what I mean? I probably would have taken that opportunity, but that just wasn't there for me. Right. And that's why it's good to get both of our perspectives, because that literally was not an option for me. Had it been an option, when I got to provincials and I played against, Corey Joseph and Kelly Olynyk and some of those guys at the time, they were already doing prep. I didn't even know what that was. I had no idea what it was. But a lot of the Ontario guys and the Quebec guys and the BC guys are already doing that kind of thing where they're getting training at that level. I was just a talented kid from Manitoba who happened to make the team and had the opportunity to play against these guys. So I didn't like Daniel didn't know. I didn't even know. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's my point, is that wasn't even really an option for me because I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know it existed. Yeah. But if it did and I had that opportunity and I had known, maybe I would have taken that route too. Right. So you definitely cannot compare people's journeys because it's different times. We're talking about 10-year difference between it's completely different generations, right? So
for sure. And I think that's exactly a major point is with this whole thing, the whether you go prep or not, everybody's journey is different. It's an individual's journey to getting to the path. You guys are playing high level basketball, but you had two different routes. It was without making it sound too cheesy, it's like you're destined to do this, but you also are creating your destiny. Because if you let's just say you come back to Winnipeg and you still want to hold the pro title, but you just want to eat burgers and not hoop and not train, you're not going to be a pro. So you're working to maintain the pro title because that is what you were destined to do. Same with you. When you went to prep, it's because they saw this, but you already were training to be that.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to prep, and obviously with the situations being different, I'll still direct this one to you. But Jared, please chime in with your opinion. What are things that parents and kids need to sort of before they commit? What are things that they need to be looking at or should look for in a prep program?
Where you gonna live? Who you gonna be living with? What's the food situation gonna be? Obviously education part, because I've been in a situation where the education part was completely fluky.
What do you mean?
The one school would try to get me and they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna be involved with the school. We just haven't figured out what school we're gonna be involved with yet, but we'll figure it out. You can just come. I'm like, so what am I gonna be doing when I get down there if I'm not gonna be in school? And we should be practicing and all this stuff. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be in school. I'm like 17 at the time. I'm like, so I'm not gonna be doing school. I'm gonna be hooping. How am I gonna graduate? So
wow.
Right, I've been in that situation before. Who you gonna be living with? If I didn't say it already. I would say I would see who's on the team, who else are asking to come to the team, who's on the coaching staff, where you're gonna be practicing, stuff like that. Who you're gonna be training, where you're gonna be training anything outside of the team.
Okay, so hold on. So for coaching staff, So you're saying you need to research who the coaches are. What are they?
If I could go back, I would I would go back and be like, okay, who's on the coach? Like, who is this coach? What's his background? Who is this coach? What's his background? Just so I can have an idea of what I'm getting myself into. So I'm going to a team, and if this coach has no experience coaching anywhere whatsoever, why am I going to that team if he has no experience under his belt?
True. And I sort of bringing what you said earlier, Jared, I think one of the biggest things when nothing is guaranteed. So a lot of the, I mean, it's not a big secret. A lot of the prep programs can be pretty shady. So now these coaches are more salespeople than they are coaches.
Of
And
course.
they sell the program to you, but if you didn't do your due diligence and like, I'm going to be play for X prep, and the coach says he's done X, Y, and Z, and is going to promise me a university scholarship. Are they really going to do that? Right.
In my opinion, no one. I truly believe that you get a scholarship because you earned it. No one can give you a scholarship. No coach can say, "Yeah, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you." No, they're going to give you the opportunity to so you can perform, but your performance will get you your scholarship. Your hard work will get you your scholarship. I don't think any coach can say like, "Yeah, if you come here, I guarantee you I can get you this school." No.
Would you say that that's a red flag then? Both of you, would you say that that's a red flag, that I promised you X?
Of course.
100. You can't promise me anything.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
For especially for prep, I think like maybe university and things like that might be a little bit different because they only have so many scholarships they can give. You know what I mean? That's a little bit different. Even for the pro level, it's a little bit different. But for prep, for sure, I mean, you got to earn it.
Exactly.
If they tell you we're going to give you that scholarship, and then you come there, and then the first 4 games you had 2 points every game, pretty sure you're not going to get that scholarship, and they're going to be looking for somebody else very, very quick.
Right.
I mean, it's competition. If you think that you're going to go to prep and the guy that you're rooming with or the next person doesn't want that dream just as bad as you do, then you shouldn't be at prep.
No.
You know what I mean? It's cutthroat, you know? And like, I think Daniel touched on all of it. And the only thing I would add to that is I from what I heard when I was coming up is the education part is very key, because I've heard about guys going to certain preps and there was no school whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And they make up things and say that you're going to class, and the next thing you know, you're trying to get into your Division I school and you can't. Right. So like, you got to be very careful as far as, is this a legitimate school? Is there people that I know, or can I ask about the program and see if other guys have graduated from here and actually made it to D1? Because that could mess up your future if you do 2-3 years there and you don't do the proper education, and now you're trying to get to a school and they say no, like you need 45 credits still.
Right.
You know, then you're pushed back, you know. So
there's certain core classes you need and certain things you need in order to be cleared from the NCAA clearinghouse in order for you to be eligible to even be an NCAA athlete.
All right.
But if you don't have those classes, that's not even a conversation. They can't even give you an offer because you're not eligible. So you have to make sure you're like at a legit school and they're putting you in the right classes for you to be eligible.
If you're good enough, like eventually you'll have the opportunity and you will get seen. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of been my MO since my whole career, you know what I mean? Like, but I think another way to look at it is maybe potentially playing prep can get you a better Division I look. You know what I mean? Opposed to staying in high school here, because if you stay in high school in Winnipeg or even anywhere, I mean, I believe it's harder to go from Winnipeg High School to a D1 school than it is maybe from prep. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, I can understand, right? And obviously getting to D1 is a higher level than, CIS for the most part. CIS has grown a lot in the last couple of years. I'd say in the last 10 years, it's grown a lot. So it's a lot more respected now, and, but it's not Division I basketball. So from that perspective, I can understand. If you're saying, I want to use prep to help me get a good Division I offer, that way I'm on, the spotlight and I can be seen. That to me makes more sense. But
you're right about the vehicle, using prep as the vehicle for more exposure.
For more exposure. Yeah. I think that's
definitely the way to do it. And then again, committing to the prep that's going to give you the best situation. So, you could be committing to a prep, and next thing you know, you're the 10th guy on the bench.
Not even 10th guy. You might be on the B or the C team.
Yeah.
You know, like you might not be on the A team. The prep schools have that. They have C teams. You might be, come to my school, then you think you're on the A team, you're gonna be on the C team. Then what?
That you know what's very true. I know a guy when I was at Calgary and I was doing basketball camps in the summertime. There was a young player and he was a good guy, a good dude. He went to Oak Hill. And when I heard Oak Hill, I was like, "You're going to Oak Hill?"
Yeah, you're right. You think
like I'm like Carmelo Anthony, Brandon Jennings. I'm like, "You're going to Oak Hill, man?"
Right.
And then I talked to him more about it, and he's like, "Yeah, but I'm playing for like the C team. There's like a C team, a B team, and the gold team." And I was like, "Oh, I had no idea because." And I'm no disrespect to the kid, but I won't mention his name. But I was like, "Ain't no way you're going to Oak Hill as like, you know what I mean? Oak Hill we're talking like that's the best players in the country.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like legitimate guys who go to Oak Hill are like sometimes become top 2, top 3, top 4 draft picks, and that happens a lot." So when I heard that, I was like, "You're going to Oak Hill?" And then he broke it down. He's like, "Yeah, but I'm on the, I don't know, silver team or the C team or something like that." Like, and there was 2 levels higher. So you got to be careful as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just a name. It's just a name.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, I think if people are going to use prep, if they are striving for prep, and again, there's nothing wrong with it. I think that if you are going to use, or if you are going to play basketball wherever you go, good for you. But I think what kids need to know, and you touched on this, Daniel, you need to know who you're playing for. You need to research. You need to know what they've done, the good stuff they've done. You also need to know the bad stuff they've done, if there is anything. Just because you need to know what is in store for you when you are leaving, if you are leaving, or if you're staying local prep, it doesn't matter. You're changing you're trying to create the path to, to greatness. So
I even is like what league they're in. You know, who do they play? What's their schedule like? You know, stuff because you can go prep and you don't even know you're playing all these bum teams. Who's gonna come watch you then?
Sure.
You know, if you don't have a good schedule, like who exactly, what teams are you going to be playing? What league are you going to be in? Who's excelled from this league? How far have they gone? Like, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ultimately, when you do select this, again, it's about the exposure. It's about what this prep can do for you and how you can parlay that into something that is going to take you to whether it's NCAA, whether it's CIS, U Sports, or even if it's college. I'm a big fan of any kid going to play for education. So you go to ACAC, MCAC, good for you. It's still education. You're using your talents to give you a future. So, and for both of you, I mean, you're using it. Jared, you've used it successfully to take you to all around the world. And obviously I'm jealous as hell all the time because I'm like, man, this guy's in Holland, he's in France, all that stuff. But, and then it's knock on wood, that's obviously going to be, we see that in you. A lot of people see that in you, Daniel. So I think that kids and parents just need to be really careful where they're going to commit to. And what is the best situation for not only the kid, but also for the family, because you could be tight with your family.
Yeah.
And, you know, if the opportunity is there for you to, and they have a great schedule, if the opportunity is there for you to stay local, then it might not be that bad. Go ahead.
I would just tell them, like you said, like everybody's journey is different. One, make sure that this is what you truly want to do. You know what I mean? Especially if you want to go the prep route, make sure this is what you really want to do, that this is your passion, that one day you want to become, you know, a professional, because it will turn into a business kind of vibe very soon. You know, the love will always be there if you truly love it, but it will change quickly, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Because at that point, you know, you may become a number. You know what I mean? So I would just say everybody's journey is different. You have to make sure that you're trying to work harder than everybody around you. Whatever route you take, surround yourself around good people. Always get as much information as you can. You know, whether you're going CIS, D1, prep, and I think that would be the biggest thing. Like, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. You know, things that we mentioned before, because your friend is going, or status symbol, or you think this is because you go here, you automatically get a D1 offer, or whatever the case may be. Like, just make sure you're going in for the right reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say, do what's best for you. Number one, you gotta love it though first. You gotta make sure whatever this, you gotta make sure this is exactly what you want to do, and do you have no doubts about, like, this is, I want to do this, I want to get to this level, like this is what I want to do. Like, you gotta make sure that's number one. And like, my journey is not going to be your journey. What worked for me may not work for you. But I feel like you got to find out what works for you and attack that and take it by storm every day. But you have to find out what works for you first. You can't do what works for somebody else and try to make that work for you, because you're just gonna, I feel like you'll lose yourself in that situation, especially at a young age. And lastly, I think Jared basically covered it, man. But yeah, I feel like if you don't love it anymore, then it's gonna become a drag on you, and then at some point you're gonna feel like you're wasting time. So definitely make sure this is exactly what you want to do.
The commonality between both your answers, whether it wasn't don't do prep and it wasn't do prep, it was that you have to love it. If you don't love it, it's not going to work regardless of the situation you put yourself in. So I'm going into a situation where I'm going to the best prep, I'm going to a local prep, I'm going to a prep in Ontario, but I don't love it, it's not going to work. If you love the game, it will work no matter what.
And you put in the work, You got to make sure you're doing the work, man.
Yeah. And at the moment for me, whenever I, training a lot of kids and all that stuff, I never say it, but I mean, oftentimes whenever I just want to tell a kid, the moment that you feel like it's work, that's when you know that this might not be for you. This might not be your path. You can be 13 and you think it's work. That's it. Is that when I was growing up, that was my number one. That was love. It was pure love. I'll leave it up to me. I would have skipped school just to go shoot around. Obviously, that's a bad move, but understanding that that's the kind of love that it is. And you both of you probably never went to house parties. You went to, or any sort of parties. You went to hoop than you would go to a party.
To the gym. That's a whole nother.
That's a different conversation, man. That's a different conversation.
For sure.
Different
about the love.
The end.
About the love, though, is by that third week in a row when you got to wake up at 6 a.m. and go do weights and then go practice for 2 hours and then do your school and then come back and do the same thing at night, you're going to know if you love it or not.
Right. It's not going to be the first week. You're going to find out a month later, 2 months later.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people need to understand is, non-prep and with prep, both effective in getting to the next level. The commonality is, do you still love it after?
And the last thing I would say is watch who you're surrounding yourself with. Really watch who you're surrounding yourself with. If you're surrounding yourself with bums, you're going to be a bum. Simple. If you're surrounding yourself with people who work hard and want to achieve their goals, then you're going to do the same thing. When Jared asked me to come work out, there was no hesitation. I'll never forget, from the first day he asked me to come work out with him, it was the done deal from there. I'm like, I have to get in the gym with this dude because it helped me even work even harder while I'm home.
Hey.
Usually when I'm home, huh?
Oh yeah, go ahead, keep it going.
Because before, when I go to school, when I came home, it'd be like, okay, like I'm home, I can sort of relax now. And then when I seen how Jared's schedule was, he comes home, and it's even kind of similar to his schedule when he's away, even harder. Then I'm just like, bro, like what are you doing? You can't come home and just sit on the couch. You can't go home and just go kick it with your friends and cousins, stuff like that. You still gotta be working while you're home. And I learned that what was I, like 17 when we first worked out?
Yeah, probably like,
so
I don't even know. 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, so when I first worked out with him, and I'm just like, bro, this dude is not playing around. He's at home. Usually when I'm home, I be chilling. I'm just like, I got to change something, you know? So definitely who you surround yourself with is definitely gonna have a huge influence on you for sure.
So, and that's it. You're totally right. You have to know who you're going to surround yourself with, because if they don't have the goals, what is that saying? You become who you
Yeah,
hang.
your 5 most closest friends who you have, you're more than likely gonna end up similar to what they're like.
Yeah,
So
they
if
say
your
show
5
your
most
friends, I'll
friends
show you
are,
who you are.
yeah, and that's like a fact. Like
Yeah.
5 most closest people that you're around, that you talk to the most, that you spend time on the phone with, that you hang out with, if they're excelling and doing a lot of things, you're more than likely gonna excel in your own way. But if they're just at home and not really, they don't have any goals, and they go out every weekend and that kind of thing, you're gonna fall into that kind of trap as well. So
Yeah.
he said it. I didn't add anything onto it, but I've known, like, that's been a thing in my mind since I was 12 years old. It's just a fact. It's just a fact of human life. So
Thank you, both of you, for sharing your experience with your individual situation, and answering the question on whether or not, on whether prep is the way or no prep is the way. Again, you guys didn't answer in a way that solidified one way. It just depends. But the one thing that is for sure is that you have to love what you do. That is the way that you are going to make it. So thank you guys for sharing that with everybody that's going to be watching this. I know that you'll be leaving soon.
yeah, soon.
And then by the time you get in, he's already gone. But it would be nice to see if it happens one day, or maybe you just happen to come home sooner than later, that we have a little bit of a joint workout session. That would be
For
nice.
sure.
For sure.
For sure. If I'm there, if I'm home, I'm there. So hopefully it can work out.
100%. Tell Jared to get home soon. He ducking me, man. He ducking.
Hey, you see, 20
No,
minutes
he
ago he was
ducking.
telling me to take my time, but now that he knows we can work out together, he wants me to get back home quick.
He's hungry. He's
But
hungry.
thanks, but
Gotta
thanks.
learn. You gotta learn. So awesome. All right, guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate
All
it.
right, man. Thanks. Take care.